What's up, everybody? Welcome back for the final time, season one, to Bingetown TV and our coverage of Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus. So this will be our finale coverage. Obviously, this is episode 8. The prophecy comes true. And before we get into the finale, just a little Bingetown housekeeping is obviously, like I just said, this is the last episode of Percy Jackson we'll be covering for the foreseeable future, potentially ever. Hopefully not ever, but potentially ever. So if you're liking Bingetown TV, we are much more than just Percy Jackson and the Olympians. We cover a ton of shows. We're doing True Detective right now on HBO, Masters of the Air on Apple TV. What else? Avatar, The Last Airbender, which we're souring on each day as we find out more about it. But I think the plan is still to cover Avatar. We're doing, we do a bunch of other fun shows like show recommendations and things like that. So the best way to stay in touch with Bingetown TV is just to follow our main Bingetown TV feed. And if you're watching on YouTube, just subscribing and you'll see all the videos that we post. So, okay, with that out of the way, now back to Percy Jackson. I guess maybe just like overall thoughts if you want to go first before we get into our kind of like bucketed general story conversation.
Yeah, that's fine. I want to give two initial thoughts, I guess, one on the season as a whole and then one on the episode. I'm just starting with
Fair.
the episode that we're going to be covering here, episode 8. The prophecy comes true. First of all, I hate in the hindsight now the naming convention of the episodes because they were not consistent. They didn't really do much for me. Stupid. This one doesn't even have a we or I or whatever. But anyway, the episode itself was a decent finale. It didn't really change my overall ratings of the show as a whole. Like it didn't blow me out of the water. It wasn't a crazy finale, but it also wasn't like one of the worst episodes of the season. I mean, we got to see Zeus, who I'm so dumb for not remembering that it was announced months and months ago that Lance Reddick was going to be playing Zeus, who I love. R.I.P. to Lance Reddick. He passed away very recently. That's why they did the dedication at the beginning for him. He was amazing. I thought he actually created the best tension of maybe any god this show has. Like the atmosphere, like it felt like you were talking to a mythological, immortal god in that moment when he was like the thunder was going when he was getting serious. All
Yeah.
that stuff was really good for me. But all my complaints are just it's going to be rehashed from previous episodes on our coverage. Like everything needed more time. If you added 10 more minutes to the Luke conflict and then 10 more minutes to the Ares conflict, both would have been much better. They just felt so quick. Even though I liked what little we got, it wasn't enough for me to feel like it was all fleshed out and it was so satisfying. It was just cool in the moment, like especially Luke. I wanted so much more of him in this season, and it just felt like I don't know. Was it editing that they kept cutting things down? Did they just not feel like they can expand on the dialogue between everybody to make us feel more satisfied? I don't know. That just seems like the season long issues, but that's where I'm at. I'm just going to say it at the top so the audience listening can just know what my lens that I'm reviewing this episode and season as is. I'm probably at like a 5 out of 10. And I want to say that's like a 1 point bump from like the bias perspective, like in Wheel of Time. Like, we kind of bump it up a little bit just because it's Wheel of Time. I feel like maybe it's really like a 4 out of 10 or something. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. I'm pretty much right in the middle of this of the scale. It's nothing awful. Like CGI still looked great for me. It's just I didn't love the soul of the show, and that hasn't really changed since like the middle of the season, unfortunately, once it started going downhill and the hype, even around the internet started to die a little bit. But where are you at? Because I'm like around like a 5 or 6 because of the little bit of a bias, like because we read the books and we had that attachment. But where are you at?
Yeah, so I guess just a quick comment on the naming convention. I mean, they're all chapter titles.
Is that really what it was? I
Yeah,
didn't even,
it's just a
okay.
chapter
It's
title.
been way too long since I've read the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
So
Um, I think I'm at like maybe like a 5 or a 6, maybe closer to a 6. I also feel like this is where sometimes the podcast we run into trouble a little bit. Where if I was just kind of like brain switched off, just watching the shapes and sounds on my television, I maybe would have enjoyed it more.
hmm
Of like maybe not even engaging on the internet, just like Percy Jackson, Toodaloo, Toodadum, just kind of watching it along type of deal. And yeah, it's tough because like you said, I enjoy the Luke stuff. I liked Zeus. I enjoyed Poseidon. We love Ares as an individual character, almost in a vacuum.
hmm
And it just the stuff was good, but it also felt like I was really realizing how much meat it felt like they left on the bone
Hmm.
of like it could have been so much better. You know what I mean? Like the moments could have been 10% more epic. They could have been 10% more emotional. They could have been all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I'll probably settle in at that like 5, 6 range, and that's it. Like using the full 10, obviously being just like
Yeah.
dead average
Hmm.
television show. The bias obviously involved, and then I enjoy the characters. I thought Walker had a great episode as Percy, things like that. So yeah, I mean, we're here. I feel like we kind of almost expected it after like episode 4-ish.
Right.
We were kind of
And
like, okay, well, let's recalibrate a little bit here.
I think we were even slower to sour on this show than the internet was. Like
Yeah,
we were an episode or two later, but now the more I see, the more talk I come across, I kind of find myself in agreement with all the film bros or even the casuals that are putting stuff out there. Like
yeah,
it's all kind of really valid criticisms for the show. I still love the cast, like them promoting themselves. Like you could tell there's the passion there. Obviously, Rick, the writer of the books, is involved, so that's still there. Like there's room to grow, but I really hope they take the criticisms, especially with the run times, like to
yeah,
heart. Because, geez, man, that like I can't remember the last show that suffered so much from lack of screen time for like modern season televisions. Like it's been a really long time since. I can notice you add 20 minutes to every single one of these episodes. We're probably adding 2 or 3 points on the scale if it was done right. And that's what's just such a shame because it was right there and it just felt like it wasn't satisfying enough for me to really walk away and start recommending this to people. I'm happy I watched it. I just don't necessarily see me watching it again, maybe in prep for
yeah.
season two, but that's about where I'm at.
It almost feels like, and I know I struggled if it was last episode, 2 episodes ago, of like putting the right words to it, but it's almost like this is like the storyboard that they showed Disney. Like this is the skeleton of the show we'll make,
Hmm.
and this is what it'll be like versus like fully creating the whole television show. I don't know. It just, yeah, it just was there. And I was trying to watch this episode thinking like, okay, if I was like a younger kid, like how would I be feeling right now? And maybe
Probably
younger
okay.
kids, yeah, maybe younger kids really enjoyed it, and maybe that's the
Like
actual
the
goal. I
the
don't
the
really know.
character interrelationships matter probably less to that crowd, which is probably fine. Like the spectacle is more important when you're looking at it like that. And that's really what the original Percy Jackson books were like. Like they're YA, so they're for the youth and stuff like that. So all that's fine, but I'm in the opinion where I'm so biased to loving not just Percy Jackson's IP, but like Greek gods. Like I've been saying that
Mm-hmm.
constantly, that even boring or weirdly average Greek stories are usually fun to me, and so
Yeah, I'm
that's why like
engaged.
I'm gonna enjoy going through this, even just like plot points, just because whenever Zeus is doing anything, it's just a cool story element. So, but that's where I'm at. I think there was one other piece I wanted to say right off the top. Oh yeah, like I noticed it probably a couple episodes ago. Maybe it was because I'm also simultaneously taking notes while I'm watching it, but the amount of just like hard cuts as if there were commercials for this episode is so dumb because I think that's what Disney wrote the show to be like is to have eventually spots for commercials because there's just like fade to
Wow.
black moments and it's just like why like that doesn't happen anymore unless you're really planning around commercial like you're watching cable TV on streaming sites. Like
Yeah,
that's the
that's
only time you ever
interesting.
see this. But it was
Oh, you
I've
know what?
started
That's a great point.
yeah,
I noticed it for sure in the middle of this episode, and I remember being like,
yeah. It's been happening like for most episodes like they kind of just cut, but either way that was just some dumb thing that I just wanted to bring up because I don't know, they should never think of writing a show like that with that in mind. That's just
that's weird. Yeah.
dumb. But anyway, let's just start ripping through some of this stuff and we could talk just high level in the context of the whole series, but some of these scenes are pretty interesting. Like we have the whole like Luke voiceover on the beach, and then this is the direct aftermath of last episode. So let's just talk through the entire confrontation because, like everything else, this was super quick. I think it was like seven
Yeah.
or 8 minutes. And
We're just
if it
A
was
to
going to be
B.
7 or 8 minutes, I would have just rather them taken an extra 10 and added it to the end of last episode and just made it end with like a 15-minute confrontation rather than kind of like teasing us a little bit here because I mean, they save it by saying by Ares and Percy getting into this agreement that it was going to be till first blood and not till death. So then I guess gods kind of always honor those type of deals, which is fine. But I just thought that was like super easy. I was really looking forward to some Edge versus Walker
Yeah.
swordplay, and what we got was like okay, but it was building up where I was like, what the fuck, man? Like already, like this could have been half the episode, not the first 10 minutes. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
thought
that's where
the
I'm at.
I thought the Luke flashback stuff was well done, just narratively to
Hmm.
get us to like Percy setting the rules for the fight. And again, it's not like it's very implicit or subversive. They're literally telling us what's going to happen, basically, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Things just kind of happen,
Yeah.
and the wave is cool. The individual parts I think are cool, but when you see them as the whole, it was just kind of like okay, wave. I like the true form thing. That was cool. That was a good like that's the
Yeah.
first time I think that they've introduced that concept from what I can remember in the show, which was cool, and all that kind of stuff. And I just love Edge as Ares, so that was fun. He just and I say this, I love him, but I couldn't stop looking at like his like mouth is like kind of crooked, and for whatever reason, I caught it so hard this episode, and I just like was looking at it as he was talking, just looking at his lips moving. But he's just fucking fantastic, and his sword was cool, and the fighting, I don't know, like it's cool, but it's just not enough, I guess.
That's totally what it is. I don't want to harp on it anymore past that. I do really like the true form idea where they're like, look away, you can't look at it.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
gold
cool.
blood was cool.
Yep, exactly, which is just a nice touch. I'm sure that's also canon in the books. The one part I wanted to bring up though was so he taught, I mean, obviously after the actual victory, like the Helm of Darkness drops, which is going to be important for the next scene. So they get Hades Helm of Darkness, which was the side quest that was accepted probably 7 minutes ago in screen time. Like if you
Yeah,
think about
literally.
it. So that was a quick little, speed run to get the Helm of Darkness, which he did. I was okay with with Walker's moment of saying like summoning the ocean. Like that was cool. I thought Poseidon was gonna kind of like step in and help a little bit, but I'm happy that it was showing
Yeah,
Percy's powers growing. But that's gonna be more down the line of when he really starts gaining mastery of the magic. But that
yeah.
was
It was a
just,
good
opening
callback
scene.
to what was that episode 5 when we meet
Yeah, it was
Ares?
the zebra episode. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
right at
no, it
the
was right
end.
before the zebra. Sorry, it
Yeah,
was the
it's right at
yeah,
the
leading
end
up to
when
that. Yeah.
when Ares they have their first kind of headbutting confrontation. He goes, very much like you don't know who I am, or whatever, and be careful about finding out. That's totally not what he said, but it's something like that. And I thought that was a nice little callback. That all worked. Again, the individual parts kind of work, but as a whole, for whatever reason, they fall flat.
Uh, yeah. And I guess this is another hot take. It's weird to throw it in right here, but I think now that the whole season's done, like I don't know if I necessarily just love the main three right now. Like as just characters, just uh, like soullessness is like the word I keep coming to. That sounds so pessimistic and negative, and I don't mean it to come off that way, but it's really just like this isn't to the level I care about of Ron, Hermione, and Harry, just like the main trio of like a
Yeah,
fantasy story like this. It's just I don't know. And again, it's just more dialogue I needed and more interplay of their relationship building. But whatever, that aside, I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't know if you agree or disagree with it because like Walker's good, but I still I don't know. I don't know. Like the main three, maybe that's part of the reason why I didn't get super attached to the show is just because it didn't really feel like the best main three I've ever seen after having finished the season. But they worked
yeah,
with what they had.
yeah. It's almost interesting in that like I think I like Walker as Percy. I think I like Ariane as Grover. Annabeth is a little. I just think as a character in the show, they didn't give her like a ton for you to like grab onto. I
Mhm.
feel like so. Yeah, I think the cohesiveness of the three of them. The last scene, obviously, we'll get there eventually, is like kind of nice, but it does almost feel. I don't want to say unearned because we did go on this journey with them, but yeah, there's just something is missing.
And that goes back to what you've always been saying. Like it just felt too easy because everything's just like point A, point B, problem, solution. It's just the same formula for, I don't know, 6 or 7 of the 8 episodes. And it's just all comes back to the quickness, but let's move ahead because I just
Yeah,
derailed us so hard right there.
no, you're
Sorry
good.
about that.
You're
This
good.
is the last little pre-arc before we're gonna get to Olympus. It's just quick. They just go back to like they're on the beach after Percy wins. They just go back to the beach house and they run into the Fury that is there to basically complete the side quest, take the Helm of Darkness back to Hades, and deliver that. It's basically done to release the mom. So that all happens here. The one thing I want to shout out that's pretty cool. Two things, I guess. The first is I love that they said the last war of Olympus is what kicked off World War II. That's
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool because I just watched Band of Brothers, so like that's like right at the
Oh, there
forefront of
you
my
go.
head too.
At Masters
Uh,
of the Air, we're watching it right now on the
exactly.
podcast.
Going from Band of Brothers to Percy Jackson, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a whack. This is a whack drop off. But
Yeah. Jeez.
the one thing I want to say though that I love is I had the complaint early on about why Mrs. Dodds, is that her name
Mhm.
originally? Whatever, this Fury was trying to attack Percy for the lightning bolt. I brought up it might have even been in our spoiler talk, like that first time we ever did that, where I was saying,
Mhm.
why would Hades be searching for the lightning bolt? But she says here that she's always been looking for the helm of darkness, not the lightning bolt, right? 'Cause so that was like a cool plot hole cleanup, I would say, because I was always concerned at why she phrased it like the way she did. But anyway, that works because the whole time Hades wasn't actually looking for the master bolt, and he was surprised that Percy even offered it to him. So that all connected pretty well. And then also here, I think Annabeth gives Percy the necklace before he sets off to Olympus. So anything in there you want to bring up?
The the ring. I just was staring at the ring and I was like, I know they told us what it is, but it went completely over my head slash fell out of my memory. Is
Like
it Talia?
the
The
thing that he
ring
put on.
the ring that's on the necklace that she gives him.
Oh,
I just
well,
forget.
Luke's wearing us the same
Yeah,
thing.
with no ring.
So it's probably connected. It's just their
Maybe
backstory.
it's
I don't
her
know.
with her dad. I just don't remember. I felt bad. I didn't look it up or anything, but I remember thinking like that's bothering me that it's
Yeah.
so obvious and I don't know. Another thing I enjoyed the weight that the helm had.
Hmm.
That was just interesting. And I remember thinking like that would fucking kill your neck, but obviously Hades is a literal god, so I don't think it actually matters.
Hmm.
But when he put it on the counter, I was like, "Oh, I like the sound effect of that. That like feels like it's like some
Yeah.
like artifact type of thing, which was good."
I want to see it in action, honestly, because you were describing the things that you looked up last
Yeah,
episode. Like
yeah.
that would be cool. See you like phasing through shadows and causing fear. Like that's
Yeah.
sick.
Maybe I should add it to our D&D campaign. The Helm of
Definitely.
Darkness.
All right,
I
that's
like it. I
but you're
like it.
gonna give it to me.
Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. B Times is the rogue, so
Um, true, true, true. All right, let's move on so we can go to actual Olympus, going up to the
mhm.
Empire State Building, which is where it's always supposed to be, and they're supposed to go to the special top floor. I liked the intro here where Percy wasn't fucking around. He just kind of big
Yeah.
dicks his way
This
in. He's like,
feels like
yeah,
Percy. He's getting that confidence. He still has that
yep.
swag, like that cheeky, sarcastic swagger, but now he's more confident, I think, in like him being in the world of the gods versus just confident like in himself kind of almost. And that
Hmm.
was fucking fun from this point on in the episode.
And I was so into what Olympus looked like. I don't
Yeah, it
know.
looked
Like
fucking sick.
I've never seen it be like that big. And you just even like looking at the details in the background of all the high rises that were there mixed with Greek, I thought it looked incredible. You could
Yeah.
play a whole fucking video game just like in looking at that. It was
Yeah. It was
awesome.
fucking cool. It's a shame we don't fucking build cities like that.
Yeah, right. We
Yeah, we're
gave
just
up on
fucking
that.
like fake brick and too many highways. That's what we came up with.
So let's move on to one of the best scenes, I think, of the show
Yeah.
is Percy strolling up to Zeus, who's sitting alone in the court of the gods, just with the 12 thrones, 11 of them being empty. Just, I was so excited to see Lance Reddick. I'm so happy I forgot that it was actually him.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. Like he's got the suit on, like he looks all
The voice.
professional. Oh yeah, he just his eye contact, the way he just owns this entire scene and he's talking to him, it's awesome. And then the actual conversation they have is pretty amazing too. Percy, of course, goes in being a little naive and expecting some things which you're
Yeah.
never going to get from this level of an entity. But one of the things I loved was the Kronos conversation that once Percy thinks he's like surprising Zeus, like he's building up power, like he's trying to escape. He's like, yeah, no shit. This is what we do. Of course he's
Yeah.
gonna try and escape. It's only a matter of time. Like we're immortal. He's trapped in hell. Like that was just like a cool way to think about it. 'Cause I
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
actually put words to it like that. Where like, duh, like the Greek gods are ready for the Titans to bust out or like does whatever. It's just a cool way to really look at it, knowing that it kind of builds Zeus's cloud a little, or I guess just builds his, I don't know, just the audience's perspective on how smart he is
Yeah.
and like
Well,
forward
also,
thinking.
I don't know how petty because he's like, like the war's still on. Like I still need
Yeah,
to, yeah, I still need to
yeah,
crush my brother. And it's just like, at first he's like, why? Like, what is going on? He just doesn't understand. Which is
right.
just, I mean, he don't get it yet. He don't get it yet. And I did like again, another Luke flashback. And this is when I said at the top of like 10% more, and it's like so good. Like the Luke stuff is good. It's
Hmm.
really good. It's so good in the books. It's a great twist, and the flashbacks were hitting, and it's good, and it's just not great. You know,
Hmm.
it's like there, like the flashback was cool. The conversation was good. The analogy of the spiders and Annabeth, and you're kind of seeing more insight into Luke's mindset, and you can kind of feel. Obviously, we know the answer, but you can feel that he's like trying to dip Percy's toes into
Hmm.
that side of the thinking and all that kind of stuff. And it's good. I honestly, I think the most compelling part of the story, obviously him and his Percy and his mom is very emotional, but the Luke stuff is like compelling. That's the meat of the story. That's what we want. And it just wasn't enough of it.
Yeah, and I've been harping on how much I like Luke and I wanted more
Yeah.
this entire time. And even this episode, like it just still, it's like more of these things should have been happening throughout the season, and it might have been a little better because we would have gotten more of Luke. But either way, did you catch the when they're doing the sword training? He goes riposte from
Yes.
Chivalry. I was like, hell
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that
He
was
corrects
good.
him too. Although I never get it to fucking work in
Uh,
chivalry.
that's the blue, right? He's got to turn
Yeah.
blue. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck that. Um, okay, so some more of their conversation that I want to right as Poseidon's showing up, or like right before it, basically. I like the last comment I'll make is like before he's basically going to strike Percy with the Master Bolt. Is Percy saying just how you were saying he's being petty, basically? Why you want to kill? Why you want to still have this fight? You're going to get weakened by your brothers. You're going to destroy the earth. And he goes, I will not be weakened by my brothers. Like he's like, I'm
Yeah.
good, brother. Don't even worry about me. I thought that was so badass. And then that's when he whips out the Master Bolt, and a little bit more conversation to basically leads to him about to attack Percy. I love that it's just pure, just blue.
Oh,
It looks fucking
so
awesome.
much cooler when he wields it versus
Yeah.
Percy just like having to hold it, like type of
Yeah,
deal. It looks
exactly.
fucking sick in his hands.
And then Poseidon shows up to stop the kill shot and offers his full surrender in order to save Percy. And then this had some good conversation naturally too, because they bring up Talia, which is a huge point in Poseidon's side when
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, he basically is just like, don't let
You
me
did
ever
it
see this one
first.
again." Yeah. And that he's like, you're the only reason you're basically allowed to live is because he's kind of got a point about Talia.
Yeah.
I broke my rule first. You're here. So all of that was sick. And then like, I guess that's when Zeus is about to leave and he says the cool ass line. He's like, fine, I'll have Athena set up a meeting. And I was like, that is so fucking cool, man. I wanted to see that conversation because I'm pretty sure we get that conversation at the end of the movie of the
Mm,
season of movie one. So I was kind of thinking there's maybe a chance we're going to get to see all of the gods, but they're
yeah.
definitely going to save that for season two.
Yeah, that was nice that the setting, I thought that you could feel the emptiness in all the other chairs.
Hmm.
Like you could feel the other gods not necessarily being there, but like their absence in that way, which was really good. I also loved the contrast between the quote unquote costumes, the outfits that
Hmm.
Poseidon and Zeus are wearing. Zeus, like you're saying, is the suit, the tie, is very buttoned up, and then Poseidon just button down, seafoam green shirt, rolled up sleeves. He's got some fucking like seashell bracelets on and stuff. It just, I don't know, it just works. It just looks good.
Well, I mean, it works for all of them because Ares is like the biker, like he's got
Yeah,
originally, but when they're not in their true form and they're in
true
their like
forms. Yeah,
modern form, it's awesome because Hephaestus looked like an engineer just
yeah,
when we
yeah.
saw
It's like
him.
glasses and
Hermes,
things.
what didn't really stick out, I guess. I couldn't, I
He's
don't
wearing
even
like
like
sweats.
exactly. Okay. So yeah, just like a sporty runner. I don't know,
Yeah,
however
works
you
for
want to
me.
view it. Yeah,
Works for
no, they
me.
kill it with that shit.
Yeah,
That stuff was definitely really
that was good.
cool.
I really like Poseidon. I like the actor a lot. I know you
I'm,
said that you know him from
love
things.
that
This is
dude.
my first, I think, foray into his work, and I think he's really good. The conversation with Percy and him was really good after this.
We'll talk about that right now, but I'm not leaving the
Yeah,
spot
that's
this
fine.
without saying that the ancient Greek conversation they had was
Oh
fucking
yeah,
awesome because they weren't saying the names like they were saying it as like as ancient as basically we probably know about. Like I didn't recognize like Hermes, the Ares. They started naming. I was like, what the hell? That's how you pronounce that? It's just pretty cool. Them just talking back and forth saying that stuff.
that was funny because it felt like to me that it was fairly close.
Really? I mean, like
To,
close, of course, because
yeah, well
like
that
art.
that leads into what was funny when Percy was like, "Oh, Pater, like that's all I caught," and I feel like if
Yeah.
he knows like even a sprinkle, like you could have probably caught the
Of who what
names.
the gods, yeah, that he was talking
Yeah,
about.
that just made me chuckle a little bit, but yeah, that was good. I would not expected it. Makes a ton of
Yeah.
sense. Makes a ton
Hmm.
of. I wonder how many languages they've had to like learn over time.
All of them.
Yeah, true.
It's probably a
Like,
god of the
especially because they were.
languages.
I mean, they were just fucking popping babies all over the place at some point. So they were probably they had to converse somehow with these. Maybe they didn't
Sure.
have to.
All
They
right,
were at the
but go
same
ahead. You
table.
can continue on your train of thought about anything that Percy and Poseidon alone just say to each other.
Yeah, it's just a major theme, obviously, of this season, of the beginning of this show, is Percy and his relationship with his father, the absentee relationship of him and his father. again, there's still these rules in place, and Poseidon's still fairly guarded. And but I don't know. I just enjoyed the little father son moment. I think
Hmm.
Percy didn't get everything he wanted out of it, but I think he got enough out of it. Obviously, it shows in his confrontation with Luke later that this conversation he just had with his dad, plus the conversation he has with Hermes in episode, what was that, 5 maybe, at the casino, are impacting his mindset a little bit. He's coming around to this idea of the gods being flawed. I was going to say human beings, but they're obviously not. But, that they're also trying and they have their own kind of issues and all that kind of stuff. So this all worked for me pretty well.
And this is actually the one singular case where I was okay with them not adding more to the conversation. Like you want that mystery in their
Yeah.
relationship a little bit, but it was enough. This was the one situation where I was like, that was good that they kind of cut it off because he just whips out after. Well, the two things that happen are they're talking about the dreams because Percy
Mm-hmm.
asked Ares about dreaming, who said gods don't dream. Poseidon says Ares is a moron. Of course we dream. So that's just kind of important, I guess, to keep in the back of your head just going forward. And then the other thing is he whips out a pearl right there and then throws it at Percy's feet. So I think that's confirming that the movie was full of shit, calling them like Persephone's pearls.
Yeah.
They might just be
Yeah.
like transport. I don't know.
That's what it
Yeah.
feels
So
like. Just to go
yeah,
back physically to the
wherever you're
the
thinking of or
mortal
something like
plane.
that.
Maybe the
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
true. Maybe it's wherever you're thinking. But also, a question now. The battle on the beach wasn't in Santa Monica. That was in New York, or was that in Santa Monica? That was in New York, right? Because it was their beach house.
Yeah, I think he turned right after beating Hades and goes in and puts like you said, he puts the helm
Yeah.
on
So
the
just like
counter.
they went from the underworld to New York Beach,
Yes, I think
not
so.
underworld back to Santa Monica where they kind of started ish.
And then he
Sorry.
goes from Olympus back here again, right?
Yes. And then he ends up. Well, he ends up.
Oh no, he
No, he
goes to
ends up
the
at
he wakes
camp.
up at the
Yeah.
Atalia's tree,
He ends
right?
up at camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poseidon sends
So
him back to camp, basically.
exactly. So when we get back to camp, this is the fake out again where Percy returns, he's a hero for
Clarice.
succeeding, and then like they do the whole Clarice thing
Yeah.
exactly, which
The most
I
obvious,
honestly,
not obvious fucking thing ever.
yeah, I
Of
was
them,
so
like,
in
she's like,
like
don't, like, do you see her? Do you see her? He's literally staring at her in his eyes.
I could have sworn that they were gonna even drop her as like suspicion because I thought we were
Yeah.
on the other side of it. I thought it was like so above, even if it wasn't. I mean, I guess they don't know really about. They're thinking Ares and Cronus. Why even worry about Clarice? I don't know. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
kind of forgot about her. She just didn't even like
I guess
cross my
they
mind.
trust
But
Grover. They trust Grover's instincts that Clarice was
shouldn't.
involved and that Ares was also involved almost because of Clarice type of deal. And I think obviously so they have the conversation in other areas, other moments, but I guess technically, I almost said Athena. Technically, Annabeth, Grover, and Percy, I don't think explicitly have the conversation where the gods send the demigods to do things they don't want to do, but that's also that theme. So they probably could have been thinking that like Ares physically couldn't steal the bolt, so he sent
True.
Clarice to do
Oh,
it
that's true.
since
And
she's
and
the
they
demigod.
reinforced that because they brought that up again in like the second Luke flashback. They had that
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, type of deal. So
Yeah.
like they never talked about it, the three of them, I guess,
Hmm.
but maybe I assume it was implied in that sense.
Yeah. All right. So then
But we know.
once they're back in camp celebrating, Percy's the fucking man, fireworks are going off. They go and
Yeah.
talk to Luke for a second, and he's like, "Hey, we got to get out of here and talk about a plan." I was like, this just felt like you're just trying to like kidnap somebody. Like the way he
Yeah.
was talking, he's like, "Let's go out there when nobody's around. Like, let's go. We got don't tell
Yeah.
anybody.
I already
Like,
talked to
let's go."
Kyron. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just been lying through his teeth the whole time.
Yeah, like
But
they wouldn't go to his office.
exactly. But this is like kind of that moment where everything starts to click for Percy. Like they're going through the woods. Annabeth says, "Okay, you're good. Like you go take care of that. I'll distract Clarice." So while they're walking to the woods, a lot of things come out here, but pretty much everything. But if you read between the lines of what me and Kyle have been hinting at this whole time of this episode, just talking about like he's the bad guy, and this is like the reveal, right? And you're trying,
Yeah.
and his motivations were getting spelled out through those flashbacks, and everything's kind of clicking, like the Hermes and his mom story from earlier this season. He has a lot of like valid reasons to hate the gods.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough to go with the most evil master titan to overthrow everybody, and like
Yeah,
maybe,
true.
but he does have that really cool conversation where he's trying to sway him, talking about, yeah, they called it the golden age when the titans were ruling, which is like a
Yeah.
really cool idea. But he's pulling every card in the book. He's here to recruit. Like he's got backbiter, which is this badass sword that opens portals. They'll go
Yeah.
and get shit done, and basically like the gods don't care about the demigods. They don't care about what they want. They just use them. So that's all of Luke's motivation. And it's a lot of it's valid, but coming to the conclusion, let's release the Titans is probably the worst conclusion. But
Yeah, it's
everything
tough.
else, you can hate the gods without trying to just murder life.
Yeah, it's tough because like, what else can you do? I guess. I mean, I guess Luke feels powerless in the sense he's not gonna like sit him down and have a talk with them. So like, this feels like the only type of option. I just
Hmm.
like Luke's character a lot. I
Yeah.
love the his role within the story. The motivations make sense. Obviously, Kronos has this ability to sway him and put ideas in his head, and Luke is, I think, a little bit obviously ignorant to he rather a better way to say it is that he thinks that he is like also thinking these things and he agrees with them. I don't think he's even considered for a second that he's being used in any type of way. And yeah, I just again, it would have been awesome. It could have been a 10 out of 10. I still really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
But this is just like a great story twist that just because of the way the season has gone, maybe wasn't as good as it could have been. I just really like Luke though. I thought everything looked good. I thought the setting looked cool, the lights with the fireworks and like the portal light
Yep.
looked cool, and their swords, I mean, look fucking cool together. They have the fight. Luke makes the comment that he's gotten better and all that kind of stuff. Annabeth's sitting there, so there's no like Percy has to tell her type of stuff. So I thought that was good way to like force Luke out because obviously he feels stronger about Annabeth than he feels about Percy type of deal. So all of the moving parts in this scene worked for me.
Yeah, he gets a full thumbs up, basically. I want it more like you're saying, but I'm not docking any points from
No.
him. Yeah, so but yeah, they use that the maybe for the fourth time this season, the
The
Annabeth trick
cap.
where she pulls the cap off and
Yeah.
does whatever she needs
I
to
mean,
do.
honestly, if she wasn't using it all the time, it would be a little weird. So
It would
it's
be a
fucking
little weird.
OP as fuck. So she better be
Yeah.
rocking that cap every time she fucking can.
Yeah. And
I would
then
be fucking rocking the shit out
that
of it.
kind of leads us to our last like epilogue
Mhm.
moments where we're getting some voiceovers and flashing between scenes to hit everything. Like we have if we are you ready to move on to like
Yeah.
that last part? Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Luke.
So Kyron has his last conversation with Percy and they're basically just talking about everything, like how Luke definitely doesn't want to kill Percy. He still wants to recruit him to his side so that he can eventually use him as like a powerful piece on this in this like chess game of like the Greek
Yeah.
gods because he's one of the big three's only
Yeah.
living, yeah, so like
Got that
he's still trying
clout.
to recruit him. So Percy's not actually like threatened, but he's still obviously this is like a secondary part of his quest. It seems like that he's gonna have to take on. Dionysus makes his appearance, and yeah, just he's probably not the best one
It
of the
just doesn't.
gods.
It just doesn't work for me. I feel
Yeah,
like he was. It worked from what I remember from the books as well. It just doesn't
like the
feel as.
Peter thing, I was just like, all right,
It
this
just
isn't
doesn't
for
feel
me.
as good on the screen. Yeah, it just he
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
more annoying than anything else. And again, maybe my memory obviously has been clouded over the years, but I just remember him as a better character. Also, more books, so maybe he turns it around. But yeah, not for me.
Not for me either, but either
Yeah,
way, he's the freaking man in Big Mouth and the
yeah,
league. But
yeah. Guy's the
Invincible
man.
and
Character.
Percy,
Eh.
he's not my favorite. So he's like
Yeah,
so hit or miss for me, but I do love him. But anyway, so after that, they do their secondary. This is the scene you were talking about earlier. Final, like it's like their final conversation before they let's make a pact
yeah,
to meet back in a year. Like they weren't gonna fucking do that anyway. It's Camp Half
yeah.
Blood. But anyway, so they and then also we find out that Grover got his searcher's license for Pan and has the idea that Pan potentially is hiding in one of the oceans, which
Yeah.
works
Wink,
out because
wink,
Percy's
nudge, nudge. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, anything else there?
No, no. I mean, obviously, they're setting this up like we're going to get a season two. They have to do that. Obviously, they have to
Yeah,
be confident that they will. We will see what happens.
I still think they will.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they do. I hope to see what changes, maybe what improves.
Yeah,
It's fucking going to be a little crazy. The actors, what they look like. But I mean, that would be easy because they literally say maybe we meet up in a year. They're at that age where they change a lot in a year, so maybe they'll just get a cute couple jokes out of it. Like, damn, bro.
like oh, you're taller. Yeah,
Yeah, like shit like that type of deal. So
that's
yeah, I don't know.
fine.
This felt like the only way they were gonna end it. I didn't know if maybe we were gonna get like a post credits type of like additional teaser.
But
We
we
kind
do.
of I mean, we do get the chrono. I guess maybe like post credit versus like the actual episode type of thing. But this was, I think, juicy enough to end on.
Like, are you talking about like the Cronus thing?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I went like the full rest of the
No,
episode
no, let's
in my
just do
head.
it because I wanted to talk about that. That's like the most interesting thing left
Yeah,
to talk about because Percy has the dream, and this is the last time Cronus invades his dreams, and it's at the beach house. And I love how he looks. He looks like the Grim Reaper. He's terrifying. Like the lights go out. He kind of looks like a Harry Potter Dementor.
yeah, Dementor. Yeah,
And he
his little
and I
lantern.
love the part that he says, which goes along with Luke's kind of agenda of your survival is key to my return. So I don't think Percy feels threatened by them, but he knows he's going to be a very important part of thwarting any sort of plan here because Cronus just showed up, and this is the Titan, like the Titan of time, right? I think he's time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's just like the big bad, and it just is. It's cool that we get a little bit of a flash of him to kind of set the tone for the rest of the series.
yeah.
Yeah. So throw anything else you want out there because didn't give us lots to theorize on, but it was just a cool appearance where it's their first 1-to-1. They know they're looking at each other conversation.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I thought it was really well done. The whole like dream thing. I love Percy's confidence in the scene. That feels very Percy type of deal. And yeah, I guess what I meant by like the post credit stuff was like a different type of like this is like you're saying is very straightforward. The main
Yeah,
plot.
they didn't hint at what the plot of season 2 is going to be.
Yeah,
Basically.
I thought maybe we would just get like a little something like where did Luke go through the thing like
Yeah.
or something like that type of deal. I was just thinking that it would happen. Not that
Hmm.
there's like I was expecting it maybe type of deal, but I don't know. I mean, I'm into it. I like that he's back with his mom too because we do get
Yeah.
that scene where she obviously feels like they know that these dreams are coming. They're keeping track of them, what he's saying, and all that type of stuff. Because Sally's a beast.
She's cool.
Percy with a
Yeah.
cheeky little. He told me, tell my mom I love her.
Mhm.
She's like, oh really? Type of
The
deal.
type, yeah.
I thought that was really nice. That was a good positive note to end the season on. We get the
Hmm.
blue pancakes type of thing with the blueberries, and they head out into the rain, and that was a good way to end the season. The more we talk about this episode, I thought it was a great way with how the season has gone. This was as good as an ending as I could have hoped for.
Yeah, I like the episode. Like
Yeah, I think
go
is the way
us
to
just
say it.
talking about it right there. If you didn't hear the first like 5 to 10 minutes of our podcast, you'd be like, these guys love this show. But then it's like then we preface it with the of in context with the rest of the season. It's just this was an okay note to end on. So like I'm not mad
Yeah,
about it. But like there's reasons to complain, and I don't need to keep
yeah.
talking about them. But
It's just
let's just
funny, yeah.
throw
Like,
in there the credit scene, then we can just
yeah,
finish
you
talking.
got it.
Just that dumb, Zach Wilson's number one fan goes back to the. Did you see it? Did you watch through the
Oh, I
credits? You
actually
didn't
didn't
fucking
know.
watch
Look at
it?
me saying, oh, like I thought there would be
Yeah,
an
yeah,
next
yeah.
credit scene, and I fucking didn't
No,
even
but
check all the way.
it's truly nothing. Like
Uh,
I'll just tell you.
that's so funny.
It's the stepdad. He goes back
Yeah,
to the original apartment, and since they're at the beach house, the door's locked, his keys not working. He's like, "Oh, she changed it again." And he sees on the ground a box, and it just says "Return to sender." And then he picks it up in his hands and he opens up the box and he looks in. He's like, "What the hell's this?" And it's Medusa's head, and he just fucking turns to stone.
that's so fun. I can't believe
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm just talking on my ass. Clearly, that's
Yeah, I
so
made sure
funny.
to definitely click through it, but it's funny that Zach Wilson has made the most appearances on a single podcast series of any NFL quarterback probably of all time in
Yeah,
Benchtown history. And this
that's
it's been
fucking
like
hilarious.
four Zach Wilson name drops.
That's actually crazy. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That's I take it back then. That's a cheeky little way to end it for sure. Okay, I'm coming
And
around on that.
I was for like I know it's a jokey moment, but like I was wondering earlier, like, are we ever gonna see Medusa's head again?
Yeah.
The gods were just like, fuck you, Percy, and they sent it back to
All
him
right.
and it got to him. Yeah. You should go
Okay.
watch it. It's literally 20
Yeah.
seconds.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
they found their stride in the finale a little bit. Season two.
All right,
dude.
9 out of 10. 9
Season
out of 10.
two. Season two, baby. That's fucking funny. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I see 'em.
Definitely watched it.
Yeah, that's fucking funny. Okay. I I have no other firmer comments, I think. I think if I say anything, I'll literally have been repeating something I've said 2 to 3 times.
Yeah, I guess parting shots are just it was a good show. I'm happy I watched it. I'm happy we podcasted on it. I'll talk Greek gods all day, every day. It's
Yeah.
just the criticisms are there. I think we're pretty much in agreement with just not ourselves, also like the general public. I still have hope that the season 2 will come out because I'm still seeing post shooting interviews by like Walker and stuff, and you can just tell they care. And I think that's going to win at the end of the day. And I hope Disney decides to take in some of the criticisms, especially with the run times. And I think we can be okay in season two. We're not on pace to be the best show of all time, but
No.
it's not the worst either. So, like I said, I'm sitting at like a 5 out of 10, which is fine. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I didn't think we'd be at
Yeah.
5 out of 10, but I'm still happy with it. And I'm happy that they're trying for some of these classic fantasy or mythological series in modern media because these are my favorite types of stories.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I feel like the first two episodes and the last two episodes were like solid. Like I would say that's like maybe like a 6.5 to like potentially up to or get freaky with the 7, depending on how many drinks I have in me. But the
Right.
other ones were just kind of weigh it down to like maybe making like a 5.5 to like a flat 6,
Yeah. But,
which is okay. First season, we live, we learn, we
mhm.
laugh a little bit, we love, and we get back to the drawing board.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's going to do it. Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus, season 1. We did it. Crazy. I feel like I literally remember sitting down and watching the premiere. So that's how it goes these days. We will be back. Bingetown TV itself will be back covering just a whole plethora of shows. I dropped a couple at the top just to reiterate them. True Detective. We're doing Solo Leveling as well. We get into anime. So if you like anime as well, Bingetown TV has content for you. Avatar: The Last Airbender, another potentially shaky adaptation of a well-known and loved source material. And what the traders on Peacock, we're all over
Mhm.
the place, as you can tell. The spectrum of things that we cover is very vast. So if you're interested in seeing more of what we covered in the past and maybe what we're going to cover, bingetowntv.com is pretty much the home of Bingetown. It just has like a little tab, a little page that has all of the things we've covered in alphabetical order. It's the easiest way to see everything all organized. And then the easiest way to support us is just subscribing, whatever you're listening, whatever you're watching on. If you're watching on YouTube, throwing us a like as well, throw us a comment. And if you want to talk more, you want to talk more Percy Jackson, you want to give us your thoughts on the finale, and you're a podcast type of person, the Discord. We have a Discord. We have pretty much channels for like almost every show we cover. So if you want to join the Discord, we'll put the link in the episode description so you can join and chat. You'll see all of the things that we've covered. We can talk Wheel of Time, we can talk anime, we can talk True Detective, we can talk anything you want to talk. So this is not the end of Bingetown TV. We'll be around, we'll be covering, and we'd be happy to have you along for another ride, another TV show, another coverage. So for the final time, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you for listening.